Right now, save 50 to 70% off absolutely everything at Gap Factory. Even better, get 40% off clearance styles plus t-shirts from $4.99 and shorts from $9.99. And just in time for summer, save 50 to 70% off the entire store at Banana Republic Factory. Plus 50% off clearance and doorbuster dresses and polos starting at $19.99. Only at Banana Republic Factory stores. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store or shop us online.
To promote my new flower shop, I had one place print my business cards, another print my brochures, and a third, my signs. Now my roses aren't red, my violets aren't blue, my geraniums look dead, and I don't know what to do.
Staples can help your business stand out with signs, banners, and brochures that are a true reflection of your company. And now at Staples, spend $50 or more on print and marketing services and get $5 off your next in-store purchase.
Now my business is blossoming, and I'm spending less green.
Exclusions apply. In-store only. Ends 6/23/18.
Right now, save 50 to 70% off absolutely everything at Gap Factory. Even better, get 40% off clearance styles plus t-shirts from $4.99 and shorts from $9.99. And just in time for summer, save 50 to 70% off the entire store at Banana Republic Factory. Plus 50% off clearance and doorbuster dresses and polos starting at $19.99. Only at Banana Republic Factory stores. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store or shop us online.
Bulletcast for life.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bulletcast, the only sports recreational podcast that is simply just too sweet. We're number 33 on the ranking this week. You know, we went down, we came back up a little bit, but you know we're making progress every day, every week, every time that an episode airs or whatever content I decide to put out there for you. I am your reigning, defending, undisputed Bulletcast champion, the Podfather, and I am joined on the line by the Canadian Destroyer, Brandon. How's it going there, guy?
It's okay. I wish we were in studio, but, you know, due to unforeseen circumstances, we have to do this over the phone.
Yes.
But it's still going to be great.
We're still bringing you that PEA, that performance-enhancing audio. I'm still providing you eargasm, you know, on episode 69. All right.
I see what you did there.
Of course. All right, so outside of the ring, Smackdown moved to Fox in 2019. This is a big deal, you know. We weren't sure which network Smackdown was going to go to. Fox, it was a big name that was thrown in the hat. Apparently a $1 billion deal has been settled for Smackdown over the next 5 years.
Yes, this is a very big deal. Not only are they going to Fox, but they're being on Fox, the broadcast channel. Not Fox Sports 1, not FX, not, you know, some third-rate channel that Fox owns. They're putting on the number one show, the number one channel that they have, and it looks like they're going to be moving it back to Friday nights. And with the amount of money they're throwing around, $1 billion, I think they said like, what, $4 million an episode or something like that. I mean, I think they can afford to have their own separate production team and have them set up shop on a Friday and maybe stay the weekend and then have them set up for Raw. But I mean, it's a really big deal. This like the TV landscape. I don't know if the bubble's going to burst eventually, but sports and live programming is like getting so much money. There's UFC signing a new deal. There's NFL deals going on, and it's just the money in TV right now, especially for sports, is crazy because people don't really know what the TV landscape's going to look like in the next couple of years. And I mean, WWE's got it on lock for at least the next 5 years, so we'll see what happens after that. But I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it moving to Fridays, that's a really big deal. You know, SmackDown did used to be on Fridays, but that was pre-recorded. It has to be live. You know, Fox needs a live show on Fridays. But then again, it changes really the landscape of WWE, you know, especially like after WrestleMania, you know, Raw after Mania, and then the SmackDown after Mania, you have that post-Mania crowd. You're not going to have that anymore. And then what's going to happen to people who cover this, like the guys at CBS Sports and Sirius and guys like us? You know, Raw and SmackDown, Monday, Tuesday, and then everybody records it Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. What would we do? You know, would we record Saturday morning, talk about what happened on Monday, talk about what happened on Friday, and then we just go about our business? You know, so a lot of things, it really affects the wrestling world, you know, so to speak, moving forward. And then this also changes the landscape of pay-per-view because, you know, Fox, they're going to want big things happening on SmackDown. So there's the possibility of we getting all the big matches and title matches on a SmackDown, and that really swaps and dilutes the way we think of pay-per-view. The weekly shows get us ready for the big pay-per-view. In this case, the pay-per-view is going to get us ready for the weekly show. So that's another thing that we have to take into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling used to always be the TV show was a conduit to get you to buy a ticket, and now it's kind of the other way around. It's like they make most of their money from the TV shows. Yes, they make a decent amount from live event sales and merch and stuff like that, but I mean, the money that they're getting from these two TV deals, like the last TV deal they had, it's a little disappointing, but this one, like, it's just crazy because we don't even know how much Raw's getting at this point. So, like, it must be more than $1 billion, and that's why NBC couldn't afford to get both Raw and SmackDown because, I mean, $2 billion or, I don't know, $2.5, $3 billion for two shows. I mean, that's a lot of cheddar being thrown around.
It really is. You know, this really brings, like I said last week, it brings a new meaning to brand split. It's going to be a very, very interesting time come October of 2019 to see how all this plays out for the next 5 years or so. All right, WWE pay-per-views might be moving to 4 hours, all of them. You know, yeah, I know. You see, everybody has to get on the show. So kickoff show is going to be starting earlier. The pay-per-views will be starting earlier. Instead of starting at 5, they would start at 4. And honestly, I was perfectly fine with a pay-per-view every 2 or 3 weeks. You know, it was fine, honestly. You know, everybody got on the show. They ended about like maybe 7:45ish, you know, and then people could do their post shows or whatever. Now, and then WrestleMania and SummerSlam and Royal Rumble and Survivor Series, big shows like that, they're gonna eventually be even longer. So this is a 0 in my opinion. This is a big 0.
Yeah, I mean we live on the West Coast, so it's not as bad, but still, even sitting there in the arena on a West Coast show for 4 or 5 hours, it takes a lot out of you. And I'm going to Survivor Series in LA, and that's one of the big 4 shows that you said is going to be maybe 5-6 hours. And I mean, WrestleMania being 6 hours is way too damn long, and having a Survivor Series being 5 to 6 hours, it's just like, we don't need that much content. Less is more. Less is more.
And then they also run into the problem, is Raw going to have more matches than SmackDown or vice versa? Honestly, here's what you do if they're going to be 4 hours. The first hour, SmackDown. The second hour, Raw. Third hour, SmackDown. Fourth hour, Raw. You could do something like that. That way, each brand gets an equal amount of time on the pay-per-view, and you can have time to really go throughout your storylines. That's probably the best solution if every pay-per-view is going to be 4 hours.
I mean, I still don't think it should be 4 hours long because you have 5 hours of TV to fill. You can build up some like a Bayley Sasha if that feud ever came to fruition like we thought it would, but we never really got that blow off match. You could have that match main event the Raw before a Payback, and then have all the title matches happen on the pay-per-view. Because I mean, it's kind of the same thing with WrestleMania. Just because you can get everybody on the show doesn't mean you need to get everybody on the show, because, I mean, it's just not enjoyable to sit there for 5 hours and watch a bunch of matches that you don't really care about, and there's like 2 or 3, and then it dilutes it because the crowd's dead and all the other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do, you know. I honestly, you know, once a month, you know, Raw, I don't know what you can do. What is it? Raw gets June or SmackDown gets July, you know, just trade off every other month, you know, that's probably the best solution.
Well, I mean, that's what they used to do back in the original brand split, and I thought, I mean, I was a lot younger back then, so I didn't exactly realize what was going on, but I thought it worked fine, you know. you build it, you get 2 months per pay-per-view per brand, so you have a long time to build shows, and you can have that big, maybe you can have a WWE title match on a Smackdown on the day that, on the month that Raw's having their pay-per-view, and but I don't understand with Vince having so much TV to fill, wanting to make it even harder and even more work for them to be done to have even another hour tacked on to pay-per-views.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. We'll see with Money in the Bank how that plays out. All right. Miz and Mrs. premieres on the USA Network July 24th. That is the Miz and Maurice's little 6-episode docu-series about their life and, the birth of their daughter, Monroe Sky. So it's going to be interesting. I'll tune into it.
It should be a fabulous, fabulous show. And, we can maybe take the time right now if we want to recap Total Bellas, the premiere episode of the new series. John Cena and Nikki Bella have their own house in San Diego, and John Cena opening up being the goofy John Cena that we all know and hate. And, Brie tells Nikki that John Cena's no good for her, and he needs to, accept that she wants to have kids, and they're going to have the wedding at West Newbury, but Nikki wants to have it in Napa, and we all know that wedding's not going to happen at all, and Daniel Bryan wants to make his comeback, and just laying the groundwork for just a spectacular run of episodes coming up on Sundays.
Oh, wow, that Total Bellas recap you were talking about, that may be in the works for you, my guy.
I know. I've been hearing some rumblings from the higher-ups.
Oh, yes. All right, well, something that you really do need to tune into, it comes on tonight, Bipolar Rock and Roller. It is a little mini biopic about Mauro Ranallo, a famed announcer in the world of combat sports, whether it's boxing, ultimate fighting, or professional wrestling. We all know him. We love him. He's called some great, great matches as of late. It's going to be premiering on Showtime, and I believe, and it's going to be a good one. He was on Sam Roberts earlier this week, and he was also on In This Corner with Brian Campbell from CBS Sports. And it's, you can tell the passion that this guy has. You're going to get a really in-depth look at his life and the dark, dark times, and also why he left WWE for that short amount of time in 2017. So it's going to be a very interesting watch.
Yeah, I already have it set to record on the DVR. I saw him talk it up a little bit. It's like, it's not really talking about his career. It's more talking about him dealing with bipolar disorder during his career. So,
oh yeah.
Hopefully this is a success, and maybe they do an actual documentary about his life in total. Cause he called the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather fight. So, he's a big deal in not only wrestling, but MMA and boxing and everything else.
Yeah, he's a big time player at the announce desk. All right. This day in wrestling, Jeff Hardy made his WWE debut in 1994. Only 16 years old. His debut match was against the 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah,
two kids going at it.
Yeah, Rebby Sky posted a photo of Matt and Jeff back in their early wrestling days, and she said that they definitely look like Young Bucks, and they look like the Young Bucks as well as being very Young Bucks. So they look very, very young and very colorful.
Yeah, old generation me Young Bucks. All right. Also on this day in 2002, WWE premiered WWE Confidential. This was a very interesting show and top concept. It was really the breaking of kayfabe. They talked about the Montreal Screwjob. They talked about the plane ride from hell. They talked about Austin walking out. It was hosted by Mean Gene Okerlund. This isn't on the network. You can't find a full episode on YouTube. You can maybe find a little clip here or there on YouTube. I think they released a volume 1 and 2 of this. But yeah, this was a very interesting concept that they had back in the day. Vince McMahon even appeared on it himself to talk about certain topics. I believe he was on the Screwjob one, and I believe he was on the one about Austin walking out.
Yeah, I remember this show as a kid. I think it came on.
Right now, save 50 to 70% off absolutely everything at Gap Factory. Even better, get 40% off clearance styles plus t-shirts from $4.99 and shorts from $9.99. And just in time for summer, save 50 to 70% off the entire store at Banana Republic Factory. Plus 50% off clearance and doorbuster dresses and polos starting at $19.99. Only at Banana Republic Factory stores. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store, or shop us online. Right now, save 50 to 70% off absolutely everything at Gap Factory. Even better, get 40% off clearance styles plus t-shirts from $4.99 and shorts from $9.99. And just in time for summer, save 50 to 70% off the entire store at Banana Republic Factory. Plus 50% off clearance and doorbuster dresses and polos starting at $19.99. Only at Banana Republic Factory stores. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store or shop us online.
On Saturdays after Velocity, I'd watch it like right before I went to bed, and it's a WWE, news documentary type show, so there's always propaganda in there. Because as a kid watching it, I just believed everything I was fed, and now I bet you if I watched the show looking back, there's probably a lot of lies and stuff that makes absolutely no sense. But as a kid, it was fun because it was kind of like the first shoot type show I would watch.
Yeah. All right, we got some wrestler birthdays today. Shout out to one half of the B team, Bo Dallas, 28 years old today. Shout out to him, former NXT champion. And
He's only 28? Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right? He's so young. He has so much more to do in the ring. Light years ahead of his time. All right, and the biggest birthday is the big dog, Roman Reigns, turns the big 3-3. Happy birthday to Roman Reigns, 33 years old.
The big dog's getting old. It might be time to put him down.
Oh, my God. Let's not say stuff like that. All right, speaking of the big dog, he's on the big show Monday Night Raw. Let's recap that right now. So, Stephanie McMahon and Kurt Angle, they have a promo together, discussing what's been going on since Stephanie's been gone off screen. And then Roman Reigns comes out and interrupts, talking about how he was wronged and all that other stuff. Kevin Owens comes out and he justifies himself, and it wasn't really that great of a segment.
A shocker. It has Stephanie McMahon and Roman Reigns in the segment, as well as Kurt Angle. We all love Kurt Angle. He's not what he used to be. And with the fact of Roman Reigns still playing up that management hates him, and, the backstage, everyone's trying to hold him back. Vince McMahon wished Roman Reigns a very happy birthday on Twitter today. So, keeping kayfabe alive there, Vince.
Keeping it alive, man. Keeping it alive.
Yep.
All right. So this leads to Roman versus Kevin Owens, and it ends in disqualification because Roman gets attacked and by Jinder Mahal, and this leads to Seth Rollins running in and making the save, and then it leads to Rollins and Reigns going on to defeat Mahal and Kevin Owens. They're going back to the well. They're using Seth Rollins' really hotness and high popularity at the moment to try to shed some of that off on Roman.
Yes, I don't think Seth, I don't think Roman, I don't know what they're trying to do with Roman at this point. Seth Rollins, I think, is way better and way hotter than Roman is right now. Roman's getting booed in Albany, New York. I know it's an East Coast city, but, that's not a good sign. Seth Rollins, all the talk of him being the champion on Raw, I really hope this leads to him and Brock Lesnar having a match at SummerSlam, because if we get another Roman-Brock match, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
Hey, man, it'll be okay, Getting booed in Albany is not that bad. I've been booed in Albany, but, of course, the West Coast city. All right, moving on from that, Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal is announced for Money in the Bank. Brandon, you got what you wanted.
It's official, and we all need to hope and pray that this match goes on last, because if it does, it's going to be a total poop storm, as we can't cuss, and I want to be like Sean and cuss, get us kicked off the air. But with this being in Chicago, I think I talked about it a little bit, that this match needs to be put on after a really good Money in the Bank ladder match, because if it's not, the crowd might be really angry. They're not getting what they want, and then they put this match on, and then they're just all heated, and then they're going to chant CM Punk and All In and Young Bucks, and I don't know what else they're going to chant, but it's going to be a cluster if this match gets put on very late in the show. If they're smart, I don't know if you put it on first because that crowd is going to be really hot, so maybe you just try to bury it somewhere in the middle, but you got to make Roman look good, and maybe if they have another screwy finish with a WWE Championship match, they put that Jinder Mahal match on last. But I hope not.
I think you put it on third match of the show. They'll be out there fairly early, get them out of the way, get all those chance out of the fan systems and then carry on with a really solid show after that. I think that's what I would do if I was booking the territory.
But you're not. And you got to make Roman look good. You got to have a main event everything.
Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, in wrestling, we've seen some very, very terrible segments. Bailey, this is your life. Alexa, it wasn't your fault. The Old Day, and then Bobby Lashley's sisters. This was very, very, very bad.
It was bad. It could have been a lot worse. It was 3 black men coming out in drag. I was very leery that it was going to be some sort of racist type thing, some 3 fat black girls just hamming it up. It wasn't that, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it could be. But I think, it was either that or having men dressed in drag, and that's what happened. I mean, I don't think it hurt Bobby Lashley all that much in terms of his credibility and being associated with this. I think it hurts Sami Zayn a little bit more just because this segment went on forever. And I was contemplating fast forwarding it, but I was like, this is so bad. I have to watch it in its entirety to understand the hatred and, live in the moment of saying, this is one of the all-time worst segments in Raw history. And I mean, right now, this is probably the worst thing I've seen on Raw this year. Maybe of the decade, I don't know, but
Maybe of the decade.
But Bobby Lashley coming out smiling, just not taking everything very seriously, not selling anything. I think that's probably the best thing they could have done. But I think smiling Bobby Lashley doesn't really show his range as a character. And I'm over here on the Bobby Lashley bandwagon. I think right now I'm probably the only one on that bandwagon.
Well, we're still there. I know what he did in TNA. I know what Bobby's capabilities are. But, this was bad. And then there are people on the internet saying, oh, WWE, they're transphobic. I'm like, you can't take it that seriously, guys, It wasn't that big of a deal. I guess this was supposed to be, the fire that really gets us to want to see Bobby versus Zayn, and it didn't do that for me. Bobby versus Zayn, I think it'll be a decent match overall, but this didn't get the fans to where they wanted them to be, It didn't progress anything, really.
I mean, the crowd didn't even, boo it. They were just sitting there on their hands, just, in awe of what they're seeing. This is really happening, and this is that bad. And I don't know what they're doing with this.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. It was very, very, very bad. All right, Ember Moon goes on to defeat Alexa Bliss.
Yes, Alexa Bliss giving us a history lesson on the Roman Empire. So, luckily, my final was on the Roman Empire, and I quoted her in my paragraph. So, hopefully, Alexa gives me an A+, but I don't know. I don't really understand where that came from.
Alexa, she's giving out more than A+, if you know what I mean. All right, moving on from that, Finn Balor and Braun Strowman, they have a segment with was it Stephanie or Kurt Angle? I can't recall at the moment.
It was Stephanie because she took over Kurt Angle's office and she put
that is right.
Flowers and this picture of Vince and yeah.
Well, you gotta have a picture of Vince, I have one hanging up in my room.
That's what you do with someone who's dead, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. So Stephanie says that those two are gonna have a match, which will eventually main event Raw later on in the night. And then after that, we move on to Baron Corbin defeating No Way Jose.
Yes, the feud of Baron Corbin versus Fun continues.
Yes, the fun sucker, Baron Corbin. Honestly, Baron Corbin's better than a feud with No Way Jose.
But at this point, No Way Jose hasn't been defined down as much. We already know what his ceiling is. But right now, it's a decent place to have Baron Corbin. Because Mitchell said him and Roman Reigns are going to tear the house down together. So you got to prime Baron Corbin to face the big dog.
Oh, yeah. The lone wolf is going to defeat the big dog. It's going to be 2 K9s going at it, All right. Moving on from that. Kurt Angle and Chad Gable, they have a segment together. Who interrupts them? The show. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. That's going to lead to Gable facing one of the members of the Ziggler-McIntyre team later on in the night. What do you think of that?
I mean, it was a fun little backstage segment, I guess. I mean, Dolph Ziggler kind of healing up a little bit. I still think they need to get Drew McIntyre away from Dolph Ziggler because he doesn't need him, and they haven't really done anything with them as, are they a tag team? Are they, two singles guys who have each other's backs? We don't exactly know what their mission is. They want to be the show, and they haven't done anything to show us that.
Put the tag titles on them. Just put the tag titles on them, damn it. All right. The B team, the best team, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. They have a kick-ass theme, by the way.
And kick-ass merch to boot.
They have a really great theme song. They go in to defeat Breezango yet again. I'm happy for these guys. They're getting somewhere. Axel, he's a former tag champ, former Intercontinental champ. Dallas, as I said earlier on in the show, former NXT champion. So, these guys, they don't just like to hold some gold. They're decorated single stars and wrestlers, and getting a win over Breezango, that's a move in the right direction,
Yeah, they're on a two-match winning streak. Hopefully this does set up a match with Hardy and Wyatt, because I think they can have a fun little comedy feud leading forward until eventually we're going to have, one of them getting killed by the Authors of Pain.
Oh, of course. All right, the Raw Women's Championship contract signing. Rowdy Ronda Rousey and someone who is not like most girls, Nia Jax. Thoughts on this?
Stephanie McMahon emceed the entire thing, and the whole segment was just her going back and forth, burying the other person.
Stephanie was a great hype woman, man. Stephanie just a magician on the microphone, man. I mean, it was cool. It was all right. Ronda, she did her usual. I'm gonna take your arm and your title. That little stick that she's been given.
Yeah, I mean, when Stephanie said she was going to be in charge of the contract signing, I kind of saw this coming just because Nia Jax is the best talker. Ronda Rousey, I mean, she was a decent talker in the UFC, but at the press conference setting, it's more organic. In WWE, it's all scripted and stuff like that. So I saw this thing coming, and then, Nia says that she's tired of this lazy narrative everyone's saying, even though I don't really think anyone called her lazy before, so I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, so is Nia the heel now? What's going on?
Nia should be a heel because she's so much bigger than all the other women. It's hard to get sympathy on her, especially if you have an Alexa Bliss being the heel and trying to beat her up. And I mean, you can call her names and call her fat all you want, but just eventually it's just she's so big, we all know she's just going to swat the fly out of her face. I mean, and with Ronda Rousey, she's a viable threat. She's the baddest woman on the planet, as they call her. Nia Jax, I'm hoping that one day she kind of finds her stride as a heel, because if Nia Jax can be a badass heel, I think she can get some money in this career.
Yeah, I don't know. Nia, she's just a likable person, You see her in her social media, she's goofy, she's likable. I don't know. We'll see how they progress the storyline moving forward, leading up to Money in the Bank.
But just because you're a nice person doesn't mean you can play a bad person. I mean,
no, that's true, But I'm saying they got to really, if they want Nia to be heel, she has to do something really, really heelish to Miss Rousey.
Yeah, I mean, what they got? 3 weeks to promote this? 2 weeks? This has all been kind of thrown together. We don't exactly know who's the heel, who's the babyface, who we're supposed to cheer for. I mean, I know we're supposed to do the predictions eventually. I'll give my prediction when I have to, but I mean, right now I might be leaning towards Ronda. Just these big TV deals coming up. They got to put all of their chips in, as the Ronda Rousey basket, because she's the biggest star, and you got to make that money.
Money.
Out.
Yeah. All right, Dolph Ziggler goes on to defeat Chad Gable.
Yeah, I mean, the match was short. I think it was 5 minutes. It was okay for what it was. They did a lot of amateur wrestling moves. And then in the end, Dolph Ziggler wins clean, and Chad Gable is relegated to being the lower mid-card jobber. Hopefully, Jason Jordan comes, then we can reunite the American Alpha and they can do something with that.
We'll see. All right, so Natty, she goes on to defeat a whole bunch of women to become a qualifier in the Women's Money in the Bank match. Now, since Natty qualifies, could she possibly cash in on Ronda? Is that a possibility?
I mean, anything is possible, as my boy Kevin Garnett told me, but I do not think that Ronda Rousey's first loss will be against Natalya, because Natalya's been with the company for 10 years and she has not done very much, even though she's very talented. I don't think the company would give her that honor. I don't think if Ronda Rousey gets beat, it shouldn't, I don't know if it should be in a screwy finish, but I mean having her lose to Natalya in a cash-in, right after she wins the title, that might take the air out of the Ronda Rousey balloon. I'm fine with her being a noble challenger, cashing in at SummerSlam, and then in turn they try to be friendly, and then Natalya turns on her leading up to the match.
Or does Ronda win the title, Natalya tries to cash in, and her cash-in attempt is unsuccessful, loses the briefcase, and then that's how we get to Natty versus Ronda.
I do think that's more of a possibility of Ronda defeating Natalya, but then it always comes into play where, okay, she cashes in, she loses, and now you're just going to give her a title match again. There's always that loophole, but Money in the Bank is in June. SummerSlam's in August, so you can have something in July and then have Natalya do something. Because maybe she cashes on her, but they're still friends. She's like, oh, I try to get one over on you, but you're the baddest woman on the planet, ha ha ha. And then Natalya turns on Ronda, and that leads to a match.
Oh yes. All right, so my boy Elias, he's a man who I walk with. What does WWE stand for?
World Wrestling Entertainment.
All right, he goes on to defeat Bobby Roode. Thoughts on this one? Thoughts on the feud?
50-50 booking at its finest, even though, Elias has been getting the upper hand mostly, but I don't know what they're doing with either one of them. Elias's shtick is just, it's all in the entrance at this point. He comes out, he buries the city, he has a decent match, and he goes home.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what goes on. And Elias gets attacked by Strowman as Strowman's making his way down to the ring to have that main event on Monday Night Raw against Finn Balor, a match in which he won, by the way. Thoughts on Strowman versus Balor?
I mean, I thought it was a really good match. If Strowman's in there with a really good worker, someone who's smaller than him can create movement. I mean, even with Big Show, he had a good match with him. But I think this was a sign that Braun can be carried to a very good match if he's in a title match. Like if Seth does become WWE or Universal Champion, they have a match together. They go 15 minutes. I think they can have a good match. But Finn, I think it's a good sign that Finn did get a lot of offense on Braun. Braun just didn't walk right through him. It was a good back and forth match, and then in the end, they still showed that, in the ring, they're going to be competitors, but they're still acquaintances or friends outside. So by Braun picking Finn up and letting him stand on his own 2 feet and walking out.
Yes. All right. So the SmackDown recap. Miz TV. Miz has the New Day on his show, and he wants to know which one of them is going to be in the men's Money in the Bank match.
And the New Day did not answer because they're smart. Because if you have the power to choose one of them for the Money in the Bank, why would you tell anybody? Because they're 3 distinct different wrestlers. And, you don't want people to prepare for them. So the New Day, they might seem kooky and fun-loving, but they're really smart. Xavier was good at PhD.
Oh, exactly.
I think Xavier went to Boston College and Big E went to Iowa. So, I mean, they're smart lads.
Oh, man, of course. They're goofy and calculated. All right, Miz will later on have a match with Big E, and he goes on to defeat him.
A little surprising, a little help from the bar. They're going to have a 6-man match next week on SmackDown, which is expected. Kofi with the spot of the week, jumping off the steps onto Cesaro's shoulders and crossbodying Sheamus or whatever.
Oh, man, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. Miz taking up the, not clean win, but semi-clean on Big E. A little shocking, but, at this point, Miz has been losing a wee bit. So build him up a little bit going into Money in the Bank. Maybe the favorite to win Money in the Bank at this point. We will see. But Miz got his new reality shows we talked about, so he's a big star, and he can maybe 2-time Money in the Bank cash in. I don't know what to talk about at this point.
Oh yeah, only 2 people have done it, Edge and Punk. All right, Daniel Bryan has a promo talking about his match later on in the night with Jeff Hardy and the potential to go on and qualify for Money in the Bank and the possibility of winning the briefcase.
Yeah, good promo, Daniel Bryan. I feel it's underrated as a promo. He's not great, but he's real. When he speaks, he feels genuine. He speaks from the heart. He's a smart guy. I mean, it seemed genuine that he was excited for the match. I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but Big Cass having an injury. Don't know if it's a work or a shoot. He was like visibly angry on the European tour, cussing, limping off. Apparently, I've heard he's at least selling it to the boys in the locker room. So I mean, and then I don't understand why you set up the match last week to have it taken off and have it taken away and then have it another match and set up for the match next week. So what do you think about this whole Big Cass knee injury?
Honestly, a blessing in disguise. We got Bryan versus Hardy, and then.
But is it a work? That's what we all care about.
I mean, is it a work? I'm not sure at this point. I'm gonna have to wait and see what happens with Cass moving forward. I'm not sure.
I mean, Dave Meltzer said it's all a work, but I mean, Wade Keller's saying that he's selling to the boys backstage, and I don't really understand why you would do that to go to that extent of selling a knee injury, a work injury.
Maybe that's Cass's commitment to the business. I don't know.
All right. Maybe hopefully he asked for Vince's permission before doing that.
Oh yeah, most hope he did. All right, so Lana goes on to defeat Billie Kay.
Right now, save 50 to 70% off absolutely everything at Gap Factory. Even better, get 40% off clearance styles plus t-shirts from $4.99 and shorts from $9.99. And just in time for summer, save 50 to 70% off the entire store at Banana Republic Factory. Plus 50% off clearance and doorbuster dresses and polos starting at $19.99. Only at Banana Republic Factory stores. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store, or shop us online.
Qualify for the Women's Money in the Bank match, and I loved every minute of this.
Is this Lana's first ever singles victory?
I think it might be. Aiden English, accompanying her to the ring, having the Lana Day sign. It was so great. Lana hit her finisher, the X Factor or Bella Buster, and goes on to defeat Billie Kay. I mean, it was great.
Yes. 3 weeks ago, Lana told Rusev that he needs to dump the dead weight of Aiden English. Randy Orton has the injury, so they're a little weak on the babyface side, and hopefully this is a sign that they're just going to go all out with Rusev and Lana and English as a babyface trio. Lana versus Billie Kay. Nobody got hurt. That's as much as I can ask for. And it was entertaining for what it was, the 30-second match. And the entrances, especially Billie Kay and Peyton singing, they're entertaining heels, but they kind of are leaning towards annoying, get off my screen heels, which you don't really want to be treading that line. But I think right now they're funny and entertaining enough that they don't piss me off.
Lana and Rusev, Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank? Huh?
I mean, I can see Rusev winning. I don't see Lana winning because, she just won her first ever singles match. She's won this. She won the mixed match challenge match. I don't know if she's been in some babyface tag team matches on house shows that she's won, but I do not see them trusting Lana having. Carmella won. It's not exactly Carmella's lighting the world on fire in ring or anything like that, but I think Natty right now is probably my favorite to win the Money in the Bank.
All right, so Andrade Cien Almas goes on to defeat a Jobert.
You couldn't even give the boy a name. You couldn't give him some fake name.
No, I've went in the past. I've gone back and gotten the names of the enhancement talent. I didn't feel like doing it this week. He was nobody important, no credibility whatsoever. And then, of course, Selena Vega is by Almas' side. Thoughts on this whole thing?
Good match. Good squash match. There's a promo before the match. He gave like a spinning back fist or something, or a back elbow that like landed super flush and it looked amazing.
Yeah, it looked really snug. I was like, ah.
Yeah, I'm really high on Almas. He's a good young talent. He hits the Latino demographic. Back-to-back segments. You got Lana and Rusev with Selena Vega and Almas. I would love to see those four go at it in some sort of way. I think that'd be a fun first feud for Almas.
Yes, it would be nice. It would be very interesting. All right, so my girl, Mella is Money, has a nice little promo backstage. What did you think?
It was fine.
It was fun. Come on, man. Mella is Money.
Yeah.
She's moonwalking and she's trash talking. The Princess of Staten Island. No?
Good for you. Good for her.
All right. Well, we find out what is going to be the stipulation for Nakamura versus Styles at Money in the Bank for the WWE Championship. It is going to be a last man standing match.
Yeah. I don't know. Shinsuke had the mouthpiece in again, and so when he talks, he has the accent, and I could understand it, but I don't know if the crowd could clearly understand what he was saying, which I think AJ had to reiterate what he was saying when at first he said pillow fight. It was a little mumbled. I mean, Shinsuke's shown a lot of fire as a heel. Wish he showed that as a babyface. The last man standing match sort of plays into what they did last month. I hope we don't get another double countdown or whatever you call it, but
they can't do that again.
I mean, they can't. They could. I don't think they will, but
I would hope they won't.
And last man standing matches usually lend to the babyface winning just because having them be knocked out for, a WWE 10 count is like a minute and a half. So it doesn't look very good for your babyface to be knocked out, especially the top guy in AJ Styles, unless they are trying to move to Daniel Bryan as being the top guy in the company. But Daniel Bryan, still haven't heard anything about him signing a contract yet, so he might be out in a couple months. He's been booked strong lately, but I think AJ Styles here for the long haul, so he might be the top face of SmackDown. Hopefully we finally get the knockdown, drag-out match that we've been looking for out of these two guys. Last man standing match, no disqualification, might be a little gimmicky, but I think hopefully they keep it mostly in the ring and they don't go like John Cena and Ryback where they use all the bells and whistles. Hopefully he doesn't get put through an ambulance roof.
Wow, a Ryback reference. Jesus. All right.
I know. If you had money on a Ryback reference, go to the casino because that was a very high bet there.
Man,
minus 5,000 probably.
All right,
plus 5,000. I guess I don't know if that's work, but it's legal now.
It is.
Shout out to the people. Take that money.
Take that money. Money. Yeah.
You gonna start betting on wrestling now that it's legal?
Let's not do any of that. All right, the Good Brothers. They go into the.
You only have a gambling problem if you lose. That's my motto.
Oh my goodness. Gallows and Anderson go on to defeat Jimmy and Jey Uso. They become the number one contenders for the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships. Shout out to the Good Brothers picking up a win over the Usos.
They did. It's a good win for them. It kind of came out of nowhere. The Good Brothers have not been built up very much. I think it did. I think this hurt the Usos more than it helped the Good Brothers. Because I think in the Carl Anderson and Gallows are just going to be fed to the Bludgeon Brothers, and they lose quickly. And I feel like it's setting up Sanity versus Bludgeon Brothers. I don't even know when Sanity's showing up. I sometimes forget they're even on SmackDown at this point. But Usos were so hot 6 months ago when they were feuding with the New Day, and they were doing those fire promos, and it just shows that Vince and WWE doesn't really care much about the tag teams because I think they had something special in the Usos, and they just kind of let it go.
Yeah, there was something very special with the Usos and New Day feud. I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully the Good Brothers don't just get fed to the Bludgeon Brothers and Sanity. I think they're waiting for Nikki Cross to finish up what she's doing down at NXT. Then they get the official debut on SmackDown Live.
Well, good, because, I mean, when they first did the draft, they didn't show Nikki Cross, so it wasn't clear that she was going to be with them. And I think Nikki Cross is ready. She's a seasoned veteran on the indie scene. She's, had her matches. She's had her women's championship matches. And especially on SmackDown with, the SmackDown women's roster is beautiful to look at outside the ring, but inside the ring, it's not very good, except for the, Becky, Asuka, and Charlotte.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of the SmackDown Women's Division, Naomi goes on to defeat Sonya Deville. Yeah.
Nobody got hurt, and that's as much as I can ask for out of these two.
Did she do those kicks? I can't recall.
I do not recall because I fast-forwarded through the match.
We gotta support the ladies here, man.
I mean, there's playoff hockey and basketball that I could be watching instead. So I fast-forwarded through that. I was like, I do not need to see it. I don't even know. Was this a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank?
Honestly, I can't even tell you that either.
Wow. And I thought you were the host. You're supposed to be like the smart one.
No, it was. I just Googled it. It was.
All right. I don't think Naomi's winning. She might do some crazy spot, but I don't see her as a threat.
All right. And then we have Jeff Hardy screaming in the hallway as he gets interviewed, talking about his match with Daniel Bryan coming up in just a few moments and the possibility of entering that Money in the Bank match.
Yes, Jeff Hardy going on about brain endorphins and neurons and whatever he was talking about. Talking very Jeff Hardy things. I mean, it wasn't a perfect promo, but that's what makes Jeff Hardy endearing. And, scripting these promos word for word and kind of making these guys sound like robots, you don't really get the connection you can when you have somebody speaking from the heart. And maybe this was a scripted promo. Maybe Jeff really, worked with the writer to make it in his own words, so he kind of didn't have to memorize it word for word. But, I mean, promos like this, they're not perfect, but with them not being perfect, it makes the promo better because you can relate more. It shows the character more when they talk crazy things about their brain running wild because of this first time ever match.
Yes. All right, so the first time ever match happens, Daniel Bryan versus Jeffrey Nero Hardy. And Bryan goes over. They're really putting over that heel hook that he's doing. Yeah,
I mean, I always like it when wrestlers have more than one finisher. Daniel Bryan, he has the knee, he has the crossface, and now he has the heel hook, knee bar type thing. I mean, it's a simple move. It doesn't look like it hurts a lot, but that's what you got to do. You got to keep ingrained. I mean, that's what it is with wrestling submission. You got to ingrain into people's minds that if someone puts this move on, it's going to end a match. I mean, the crossface, it hurts if you really put it on, you wrench it back, but in real life, no one's going to be able to put a real crossface on. But the heel hook's a realistic move. It doesn't look devastating, but if you ever get put in one, your ACL might get ripped off.
Exactly. Shout out Daniel Bryan, all these submissions. I'd like to see that cattle mutilation make its return. That was a nice one.
No more flying headbutts, no more suicide dives. I'm fine with that.
Exactly.
It was a good match. Good, solid, 12, 15-minute match from the two of them. I mean, Jeff Hardy probably was inspired to have a good match with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan got them a good match out of him. Daniel Bryan's back. I mean, he's been training even before he got cleared, so we know he might have a little bit of ring rust, but not in total. Daniel Bryan, one of the best in-ring wrestlers of all time, and your boy still got it. My boy still got it.
Of course. I love Daniel Bryan. I've loved him for a long time. I'm proud of my boy D. Bryan. And, of course, Samoa Joe, the Samoan submission machine, was sitting ringside, and then he has a promo, and he insists that Daniel Bryan is going to go to sleep next week on Monday night. On SmackDown.
On Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, yes, for the qualifying match for Money in the Bank. I think Joe goes over here.
Yeah, I can see it. Daniel Bryan did cut that promo about him, losing It's just been a setback, but ultimately his goal is being the WWE champion. I always say that the Money in the Bank is not a babyface thing, so I think it would be weird of Daniel Bryan having it, unless if you do want to do that AJ Daniel Bryan match, you have Daniel Bryan win, and you cash it in advance to set up the big dream match in WWE. But we all know SummerSlam is not the best place for Daniel Bryan, unfortunately. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't exactly know what they're going with this. Like, they've originally had Samoa Joe and Big Cass. They scrapped that. Now they have Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe, with Samoa Joe originally supposed to win the Big Cass match. Was the Big Cass all the work, and they knew this was all happening to begin with. I mean, I'm always going to pick my boy Daniel Bryan to win. So I'm going to stick with my boy D-Bry, but I really hope they make this a big deal. They have commercials of it on Raw. They build up throughout the entire show. First time in WWE, Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe. Hopefully they can get some sort of footage from ROH or some other indie scene to kind of make this really put into perspective that they've wrestled in, farmhouses and gymnasiums, and now they're going to wrestle in front of millions of people for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, another thing that you can look at, let's say Daniel Bryan does beat Joe and goes on to in the Money in the Bank. We could have that Daniel Bryan Miz face-off, kind of what AJ Nakamura did last year, and it's going to set up something later on.
I mean, yeah, I could see that, or even having Daniel Bryan come close to it and having Miz push him off at the last second and retrieving the briefcase would put so much heat on Miz. It would be amazing just seeing Miz gloat and say how he took away Daniel Bryan's dream, and have maybe the Miz cashes in successfully on AJ, and then that sets up the Daniel Bryan Miz feud for the WWE Championship. But it all depends on how Daniel Bryan's contract is looking.
Yes. All right, Superstar Spotlight. Who do we got?
I mean, no one really stood out. I mean, I'll go with Braun Strowman, I guess. He had a really good match with Finn Balor. I'm always going to put more of the, not blame, but the responsibility on Finn for having a good match. But I thought, I think them two have a good chemistry. The little guy and the big guy, he had the sort of funny moment crushing the apple. So I'll go Braun Strowman.
All right. I think I'll go Samoa Joe. A nice promo after the Daniel Bryan Jeff Hardy match is really getting me excited for what these two guys are going to do, and I can't wait to see what happens next Tuesday.
I hope they give them the time to have a good long match. Hopefully entrances start at 9:30, so they can have a nice hour or a half hour match.
Oh yes, of course. All right, Brandon, what is our promo pick of the week?
So our promo pick of the week, I always gotta delve deep, and we're not going to go WWE, but we will go to a WWE legend who is currently in a feud with Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, and right now they are on the tour of the Best of the Super Juniors, and Naito was on that tour in a tag team match, and Chris Jericho decided to phone in a video of himself talking about Naito. A turtle makes a surprise appearance, and if you have not watched this promo, you can go out and watch it on the New Japan English YouTube channel. Just type in Chris Jericho Naito promo, I guess. I think it says like Chris Jericho blistering words for Naito or something like that. It even has Naito's response, which has English subtitles. I do warn you, if you plan to watch this at work or around little kids, put some headphones in, because Chris Jericho says some 4-letter words that are not permitted on this podcast. So I cannot say it, but I will let your mind run wild, and it just sets up the feud going on for Dominion in next week. Is it? It's gonna be fun.
It will be fun. All right, so my match pick of the week, it's nothing WWE, nothing New Japan, nothing Ring of Honor, but I have All Pro Wrestling.
Super hipster.
Oh yeah, All Pro Wrestling Gym Wars right here in the Bay Area. This took place in the famous APW Garage here in Hayward, and it was Chris Masters, the Masterpiece, a former WWE star, a person I had the pleasure of interviewing. Go check that out in the Bulletcast archive. He goes on to face Timothy Thatcher, a former All Pro Wrestling Universal Heavyweight Champion, the real Universal Championship, I might add. And this took place on February 13th, 2014.
Was this in the garage? I was kind of half paying attention.
Actually, no, wait, this was at the Bayshore Community Center in Daly City.
Oh. Timothy Thatcher, I really like him. I mean, he hasn't been at APW for a long time. I think he's focusing more on his overseas ventures. I think he's like in Germany or something like that. But I mean, Timothy Thatcher, he's getting up there in age. I would love for him to be in WWE or be even in New Japan, because I think he's a great wrestler. He's kind of like Zack Sabre Jr., but a little bigger. You know, the British submission guy. I mean, Chris Masters, he's all right, but Timothy Thatcher, one of my favorite indie guys going right now.
Yes, the British Messiah. This was an interesting one. You know,
him and Walter are a tag team, and Walter will be coming to APW soon.
I know you're a fan of Walter.
Yes, Walter, a former Match of the Week participant, with him and was it PCO, and just chopping each other, and you know, two big boys who should not have put on that good of a match, but they did. Yes,
they did. Thatcher, a nice in-ring general, a wonderful technician. So it's an interesting one. He got a decent one out of Chris Masters. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at BulletCast, YouTube channel The BulletCast, Instagram The BulletCast, Facebook BulletCast. We're on 99.9 FM KW in Watsonville. We're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play. We're all over the place, you know. We're doing it here, man.
We might make a Tinder, so watch out for that. All you singles in the Bay Area.
Yes, blackpeoplemeet.com. Christian Mingle. Bumble.
Farmers only.
Farmers, exactly, man. We're making our way. You know, all you single ladies in the Bay Area, we're coming for you. We're eligible bachelors out here. You dig?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, did I mean?
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it, man. I'll talk to you next week. I'll see you hopefully in studio for episode 70.
Will we be doing this on a Wednesday or a Friday? Because, you know, summertime, we might have to be switching up our schedules.
I know we might be coming to you earlier on in the week, folks. I don't know.
Right after a Smackdown, the day after, some timely analysis.
Yeah, we haven't done that in a very long time, you know?
It's been a whole year since last summer when we used to do it on Wednesdays.
Yes, it has. You know, I mean, a lot of stuff happens in the wrestling world, so Friday, it kind of gives us time to, you know, talk about that stuff, but I don't know. You know,
or maybe we could just have a new show on Friday that could cover some of the stuff the Bulletcast doesn't talk about.
Exactly, you know, that could happen. I forgot to mention the All-In press conference that did happen, and reportedly CM Punk was backstage during that event. Now, of course,
further speculation.
Further speculation. Now, of course, we know that CM Punk, he has, you know, he works with Pro Wrestling Tees. He has an appearance coming up there, but he could have took care of that business at any time. At any time. The fact that he was there specifically during this press conference? Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, it is in his backyard.
I know, but I'm saying he could have taken care of his business with them at any time. He didn't have to do it on that day at that specific time.
I mean, you know, the Young Bucks are his friends. He knows Cody from WWE. Maybe he wants to meet the pop sensation that is Marty Scurll.
Hey man, I might have to get on a track with Marty. You know, some jams could be happening. You know.
Yeah, but CM Punk's meet and greet tickets sold out in like 50 seconds, and now they're trying to have as many people as possible. I mean, you have 10,000 hardcore wrestling fans showing up for an event. You have a CM Punk meet and greet. I could have told you probably should have sold at least 1,000 tickets.
Oh yes, of course, hands down.
Down.
Well, yeah, that just leaves further speculation for the highly anticipated All-In show September 1st. Is there anything else you want to cover, man?
Not really. I mean, there's news about the UK tournaments, a new Mae Young Classic. There's WWE just trying to take up the entire wrestling landscape.
They really are. You know, with this new TV deal, reports say that they're gonna raid the indies and take all their stars, and they're gonna ruin the business. You know.
I mean, the indie scene at this point is probably the best that it's ever been. NXT, it's been better, but I think they're doing good work with what they have. They have the Gargano Ciampa feud, which is white hot at this point. I mean, Adam Cole is doing his thing at the Undisputed Era. I mean, Young Bucks Kenny Omega deal comes up at the end of the year. Do we get to see them in WWE? Possibly. I maybe think they sign. I think the Young Bucks might sign another contract, I can see Kenny maybe going, unless they do put the title on him at Dominion. And, I mean, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. All right. Well, if that's all, then I guess that is it. I will talk to you later, man.
All right. Talk to you later. Hopefully in person next time.
Hopefully in person.
Okay.
Later, Mark.
Right now, save 50 to 70% off absolutely everything at Gap Factory. Even better, get 40% off clearance styles plus t-shirts from $4.99 and shorts from $9.99. And just in time for summer, save 50 to 70% off the entire store at Banana Republic Factory. Plus 50% off clearance and doorbuster dresses and polos starting at $19.99. Only at Banana Republic Factory stores. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store, or shop us online. Right now, save 50 to 70% off absolutely everything at Gap Factory. Even better, get 40% off clearance styles plus t-shirts from $4.99 and shorts from $9.99. And just in time for summer, save 50 to 70% off the entire store at Banana Republic Factory. Plus 50% off clearance and doorbuster dresses and polos starting at $19.99. Only at Banana Republic Factory stores. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store, or shop us online.